For TraderInsight.com, I'm Adrian Manns, and it's time for your daily dose of the doctor. Let's take a look at some trades from this morning. The market's been grinding around a little bit, a lot of geopolitical junk going on with this mess in the election here in the United States, and as a result, stocks are traveling in some pretty narrow ranges over the course of the day. That means that planned trades, whether they're yours or mine, are oftentimes not going to trigger, but it doesn't mean that there's not an opportunity in those planned trades to do something a little bit different. So I'm just going to go through three of these from this morning. We did these in the room. This was ABBV Incorporated, ticker symbol ABBV. You can see here this was a planned short sale at 61.07. We had a 61.27 stop and a 60.63 initial target. And if you look over here to the right, you can see that the pivot line up above our entry price was going to be $61.59. And therefore, if we had an inflection there before we had an entry on this trade, this would make for an opportunity for an early entry and then a position that would go down to or close to that 61.07 entry. Usually these wind up about 10 cents up above the entry price if we wind up taking them for a profit. In this case, the ABBV pivot wound up being $61.58. We were off by about a penny on that pivot calculation. That's no big deal. But you see it came up and through in the first bar of trading, and the second bar came down and looked like it was going to give us one of those reversal entries, and then immediately turned around and stopped us out. That's not a big deal, right? As it popped back up into here, as soon as it got over the high of this first bar, we knew it was time to pull the plug on the trade. That's one alternate entry, didn't work out, but we had a couple other opportunities, so let's take a look at those. Carlisle was the one that I went over with you folks while it was happening this morning. This is ticker symbol CSL. We had a planned entry on this, $103.12 on the short side. Stop was 103.56, target was 102.50. And we had a bunch of support and resistance lines that made sense. Of course, we had the central pivot at 104.06, but that's a pretty big stretch from a 103.12 entry, right? So it would have to open pretty high in order for us to get that trigger. Now, you'll recall that today I mentioned a 103.73 inflection as the area that I was looking for this to make a move back to the downside. Looking back on the chart to yesterday's trading, you can see here that the place that I came up with that 103.73 inflection was right here when the stock tried to move higher, get back up into this range, hit this level, and on very, very heavy volume, then managed to sell off into the close. So that's the reason that I was looking for 103.73 today. And we see that when the stock went up and actually traded there, it got us in, immediately turned and looked like it was going to go back down and head in our direction. Went up a little bit. You know, I give these about 20 cents on a $100 stock. So it didn't quite move 20 cents above that inflection point. It got up to 103.90. 103.93 was where I had said, well, if I'm wrong, I'm going to be wrong and get out of this. But look what happened. It came back down, moved down through that 103.73 level, and just kept on going. And, of course, what we were targeting this morning in the room was this level right here, right around that opening tick, right around the close of the second bar of trading. So 103.10. It did go down to that planned entry from the trading plan, and then look what happened. It turned around, went up to the stop level, came back down, triggered a second entry, and wound up closing out pretty flat on the session. But you can see that just by planning this extra position, this wound up being a net positive on the session, whereas just going with your trading plan or just going with what you intended to do for the day would have actually had you negative on Carlisle. And then finally, let's look at KORS. This was the other one that was interesting today. This was a long trade. So we planned to get long $50.43 with a stop at 49.87 and a target up at 51.05. You can see down at 49.30, we've got the pivot. And once again, you'd probably look at this and just say, you know, the chances that I'm going to be anywhere near a 50.43 entry and then make a move all the way down to that 49.30 level are pretty slim. But, you know, the market, as I said, opened in kind of a weird, trying to digest what's going on in the United States kind of a way. And we're seeing some sort of strange volatility. And look what happened. It came down from about $49.97 on the opening tick and came right into this 49.30 level. So once it gets down here, $49 stock, you're going to give yourself a 15 or a 20 cent slip beyond that pivot line. Look for that normal oscillation above and below. I mean, whatever it does above here when it's bouncing, it's probably going to do below here on a bounce too. Never goes down all that far, just went down about 14 cents. Came back up again and, made this move higher. And although, we were looking at this level here at first, just a 35-cent move per share, $49.30 up to $49.65, you could have easily made the argument for the high of that second bar being the inflection that you were looking for and rode this one to $49.85. That makes a stock that was a no-go from your trading plan for the day. Go-to stock in terms of finding something to profit from on a day where most things were trading inside or trading on the wrong side of what we had expected them to do. So if you're using pivot lines and natural support and resistance lines in your trading, it really ups the value of your trading plan and really gets you in front of more opportunities. That goes for my plan as well as whatever anyone else is putting together. It's always good, whether you're trading stocks, futures, whatever, to look at where price has inflected before, look at where other people are expecting price to inflect, and then plan some trades accordingly. Hope that helps. Hope it gives you a little bit of a different perspective on the intraday markets. If you do have any questions, shoot me an email, adrian@traderinsight.com. I hope you had a great trading day today and an even better one on deck for tomorrow. The best trader education anywhere, only from traderinsight.com.